Well, well, well. My PC has finally caught up to what is happening because this, if you'll excuse my voice while it still recovers, is the first multi-streamed race of VFRL history. And it's qualifying for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So we're in Jeddah Corniche today. We have 18 drivers joining us. Ben, Rory, Pesh, Onions, Ken, Suzuki, Zin, Kong, Zedmar, Humoro, Liminator, Obese Mode, Who Am I, Superman, Nade, Daryl, Robin, and Dan Richards. We've got a few new drivers today. Notably, Humoro, Zin, and Nade, who has joined me in the commentary box before, but is now joining us on track. So, we'll try find the driver who was first out. We'll follow them through. And as usual, it's Suzuki, the exotic liveried Williams driver today, calmly making his way through the circuit. On the outlap, of course, tyres can overheat a lot in the Middle East and around these fast corners. So he's taking it nice and slow. But he's already, before anybody else, reached the final corner. He sets himself up for the long straight, the long run, down to turn 1. Because it begins now. And Suzuki crosses the timing line for the first time this session, braking for turn 1, nice and harsh, flicking in, taking lots of curb in turns 1 and 2. Back on throttle as soon as possible. You can see a little bit of a twitch there, had to lift and correct. Now turn 3. The turn we'll hear a lot of as that inside barrier can catch some drivers out, but he's got past it fine this time around. Now turn 5, 6, and 7, flat out. Tiny bit of a lift for turn 8 and 9. We're running probably lower downforce here because of the amount of straights and DRS on the circuit. So those high-speed corners will need to have a bit of a lift in them. It's a purple sector 1 for Suzuki. Flat out through turns 14 and 15. Then a little bit of a tap on the brakes and flick to the right for 16. DRS open through turn 20 and 21. Acts more like a glorified straight, flat out. Then again flicking to the left, pushing it all the way to the exit at the apex of turn 22. The turns keep coming thick and fast. It's a purple sector 2. And Suzuki, first lap done. Looks like it'll be a good one. Back on the throttle. And across the line. It's a 126.671 for Sly Suzuki. Now beating that is going to be a tall order. Rory pulls in a 27.1. Pesh with a 28.0. Daryl does a 27.048. To go closest to Suzuki of all. But it's still about a 4/10 gap. Ken Cheese with a 27.8. What about Ben Harvey coming through the final sector? Not pushing turn 22 as much. You can see he was nice and safely within the track limits. As Kong does a 27.9. We go P5. More laps flood in. Obese Mode with a 28.6. Now it's Ben's turn. The Ferrari, his teammates in provisional P3. He says P8 with a 29.2. I believe there was a mistake in that lap, so we'll keep an eye and see if it improves. Onions takes provisional pole away from Suzuki straight away with a 26.61. Just about half a tenth in it between our two front drivers now. On their first go around. Now Zedmar. We haven't seen him before. Now this is his chance. He's in the McLaren today. Through sector 1. Very smooth on throttle, very patient. very aware just how easily you can lose a lap on this track. Anthrax Robin joins us to go P5 with a 27.7. Dan Richards behind him with a 27.8. El Humero, one of the other rookies, goes P11 with a 28.8. Now, the two rookies we haven't seen are Zynips and Zedmar. What can the McLaren do? Across the line for him, it's P8. 27.9, ahead of Kong, ahead of Pesh, ahead of OP Mode. But he's not the only one going for it now. Eliminator, for whom the clock still runs. Holding all the way to the left to reduce distance to the line, and it's P12 for the Haas. Zainab starts his lap, but who am I? Has been one of our front runners recently. And he's P16, having not done a lap. It's 2 yellow sectors, but this is his chance. The exit of Sector 3. The timing line is where you see how you did it. It's P3, 26.9. Bit slower than the front two, but still, nothing to laugh at. Now Superman, the Mercedes driver, once again pretty safe through turn 22. I think many people are afraid of bottoming out on that exit curb, but for now, we're safe. So, what about our rookie in the V-Carb? Of course, it's round 2. There's plenty of time to prove yourself this season. Much more aggressiveness through turn 23. That's what you like to see. He's really putting his best out here, even for the banker lap. He's going for a good points position, at least provisionally. And it's P11 with a 27.96. A great first time. And Nade, the man whose voice, if you've raced in the Silver League on Sundays, you'll know how he sounds. But how can he drive? He's in an Aston Martin today. But it's still up to 326 kilometers an hour into turn 21. Almost hit the barrier in 22. Had to back off. Went off the track. And that's a bit of a mistake. But I'm sure there's more chances to come back from that. Suzuki, as usual, already on a lap. And of course it's a personal best. When is it not? For him, a green Sector 1. But the lap doesn't stop there. Lots of curb, turn 17. You could see him trying to get it further across. DRS raises that top speed for the fast left-hander. It's a 10th.5 down on Onions Please as it stands. But it seemed a very good exit. So it may be gained back. Very quickly off the brakes for turn 27. Getting rotated. A late apex. Bit of a twitch on the exit, but got away with it. Across the line. It's an improvement, but not enough. A purple Sector 3 brings the distance between him and P1 to 0.04 of a second. But that hasn't quite cut it to take him ahead. Daryl was on a lap, has cancelled that now. And Robin, currently P6, going through turn 3. Keeping the throttle pinned through turn 7. Now 8. Bit of a lift for 8 and a tap on the brakes, in fact, for Robin. Different driving styles. Now 11. Lots of points on this track are simply full throttle. It's very fast. It can all come at you so quickly, very wide in turn 13. Going for a wider line, using the banked nature of that corner. Again, lots of curb. Taps the exit barrier in turn 17. That won't help the speed. And I believe he's now aborted it, based on him having lifted the throttle, started recharging. That lap is abandoned. Darrell has invalidated his lap. Robin watches as a Red Bull flies past. But Dan Richards, currently P7, not pulling any more punches, full pushing through Sector 1, flirting with the track limits. It's a green Sector 1. You can see much tighter to the barrier there. Probably a bit too tight, in fact. Onions, though, out of nowhere. Onions, please, in the McLaren. The chrome liveried McLaren from Silverstone 2025. Puts it where a McLaren ended in Silverstone 2025 in P1. And was that Liminator we just saw? It was indeed. He was waiting for drivers, as you should. Very professional from him, but it's Onions that now takes our provisional pole. And who am I? One of our other fast pacers in the race today set another personal best. The Red Bull. Looking a great car around these turns. Nice and grounded. And it's much closer to where he currently is. He needs just a few more tenths to get himself into the top. The front row. But we've seen it all decided in the final turn before. Burning battery from 22% down to 0 as far as it will go. What about the car though in speed? And it's on to P2. A huge Sector 3 for Who Am I. Takes him from a 26.9 to a 26.59. Splitting Onions and Suzuki for the first time this qualifying session. So P2 for the Red Bull. Dan Richards is on a 27.4. Has invalidated that lap though. Dan, what about Robin? We saw him going around before. He had to abandon because of a mistake in the coming up turns. Turns 16 and 17. It's now. It's where he lost it before, but he's held it for now. It's a yellow Sector 1. But it's still on track. In terms of sector times, it could look much better. It's almost 2 seconds, and that's a spin in turn 23. There goes the front wing of Anthrax Robin as cars fly past. The tyres seem dead. And dead they were. So we'll take another look back through the state of the field while the front runners have their goes at the outlap. Zedmar now P8, Ken P9, Con P10, Zynet P11, Pesh 12th, Obismo 13th, Superman 14th, Humoro 15th, Lemonator 16th, Ben 17th, and Nade 18th for now. But Suzuki, as always, is already on a new run. It's very close to P1 now. Just a 10th of improvement can put you at the very front of the pack for the race. It's a very good Sector 1, a personal best, but still 7/700ths too slow for Onions, please. We have seen Suzuki make up time in the latter stages of the lap, so it's very possible now. A great exit out of turn 17, holding to the left-hand side, and now the right, minimizing the distance through these flat-out corners. And here's where it matters. We saw Robin make a mistake, but it's nice and clean for Suzuki. It's a purple Sector 2, in fact. Very promising from the man today. The orange Williams looks a bit like a McLaren, is going almost as fast as one. And here is where it's all decided. The exit of turn 27. You have nothing to do but watch the clock tick down. And it is pole, provisionally, for Suzuki, who gains 2/10 and is now at the very top of our timing sheet at a 26.448 for him. It was a great sector 2 that set him up for that. Take a look now to some of the midfield drivers. A personal best, sector 1 for Kong. .600ths down on Suzuki. That's actually quite a big improvement on his current lap time. As Nade retires from the session in the pit lane. He managed to get a 28.8 to P17. But what about Kong? Still kicking on the track. It's P8 for him. And we'll go back to Onions Please, who's doing his best to take back the pole position he fought so hard for earlier in the session. Car ahead gets out of the way. It's all up to Onions now. Who am I, of course, on an outlap. It's a green sector 2. So much of this track will come down to the top speed. Glancing at 330 kilometers an hour. Somehow under control through turn 27. And Suzuki retires if this beats him. It does not. Incredibly close. But no, 600ths between him and Suzuki, who is now retired and has no more shot at improving. Dan Richards retires as well from P7. But I don't think that was intentional. In fact, yes, there his car is. It was indeed an incident out of turn 23, very similar to what we saw from Robin. Losing the front wing, Robin himself now going for a lap of his own, as is almost everybody. Who Am I slides into the wall in turn 17. His chances of pole position most likely scuppered. But Rory has taken his P3, the Ferrari, putting himself up there with the top. And Who Am I struggling even more. That lap is not on for him. So what about Robin? He's kept it under control so far. The question of pace is still yet to be answered by the Haas. A Ferrari off the track, and off the track goes Robin as well, who sends it into the wall after having invalidated. So that lap also ruined. So for now, it looks like Suzuki has done an incredible job. And it will be the Williams, starting from the top of our grid today. Such a close battle up at the front. It can only make you wonder how much they'll be fighting in the race. And as everybody either takes the checkered flag or comes into the pit lane, our qualifying is over. We just wait for the game to realize it. And there we go. As we look at Ken Cheese, who's come in 9th. But he shares the livery with the man who's taken our pole position. And it's Suzuki. with Onions next to him on the front row. Rory behind them. The Ferrari putting it in P3 towards the end. Who am I next to him? Daryl in 5th. Rob in 6th. Dan Richards down in 7th. Kong and Ken Cheese filling in 8th and 9th, with Zedmar in 10th. Taking up a provisional point starting position on debut. Another rookie behind him, Zainab. Superman 12th. Obese Mode 13th, Pesh 14th, Humoro 15th, the Mercedes, putting it above 3 other drivers who we know and love, Liminator, Benavi, and Nade. And now is when we wait. As of course it's a night race. We have now to prepare. The drivers will use this to choose their strategies. Maybe plan their entries to turn 1. Whatever they can do to give themselves an advantage, they will do. And we will be readying up in 2 minutes' time, so just hold tight. As we take a look at the garages, spare front wings galore. And unfortunately, this is a circuit where we may very well need them. We have 1 minute before we'll be running away from those grid boxes. And on that long run down to turn 1. The chicane where everything can go wrong if you're just unlucky enough. Push it too hard, you can find yourself squeezed off track. Or even worse, in the barrier, missing one of your tires. And here we go. No formation lap needed. The red lights are here. There's 5 of them, and away we go. The Williams of Suzuki taking us straight away. Bit of wheel spin off the line, though. Careful, because Onions is on your tail on the inside of turn 1. Onions has the move done already. That's P1 for the McLaren. He qualified P2, but he's already made that move. As we go into turn 3. Luckily, oh, never mind. I was going to say nobody side by side, but Pesh decides to go side by side with an Alpine. I believe it was obese mode. And as a result, we've all seen it happen around Jeddah. Bit of a spin for him. And Superman finding something similar now. Losing 3 positions out of turn 12. I believe he bottomed out in turn 11. Had to cut the track and gave positions back as a result. Zainab now up to P8. The rookie making a great start to the race already. And Daryl on the back of Rory with less than 2 tenths between them. And similarly, Suzuki and Onions. Onions may have taken the move, but he's not going to get away with it lightly. If Suzuki has anything to say. The straight lines will mean so much as Daryl, on the exit of turn 27, finds himself initially with a good run, but then Rory starts to burn some battery. To the outside goes Daryl, brakes early though, sticks his nose in for turn 2. The outside becomes the inside, and it's all a drag race now. On the exit, they're both on medium tyres. What can they do? The Ferrari on the inside. No switchback here. And ultimately, Darrell stays behind. As Kong and Zainab swap positions into turn 8. That stays as is. And there's already a gap forming now ahead of Rory. Of course, you have to be within a second to get that DRS effect. If you're not careful, losing that 1 second threshold can lose you lots of time overall. With so many straights, the DRS increasing straight line speed can have people absolutely run away from you. And in lap 2, we have DRS active. You can see the green on Darrell's steering wheel. Around turn 20. Looked for their move to the inside there, but gave it away. And here is where you'll see it the most. With only 20% battery. But such a long straight, Darrell cruises by. Never mind, actually, on the outside. Doesn't quite get alongside before turn 27. Went for a switchback, but didn't quite have the turn speed. And as Rory pulls to the inside of turn 1, Suzuki takes back his rightful pole position. He lost it at the start, but he's back where he wanted to be now. And Darrell is now ahead of Rory. He's got a gap ahead of him to make up, to try and at least get himself within DRS of Robin. But it's more easily said than done. It's Who Am I? Watching this battle between Onions and Suzuki play out. Waiting for his chance. But at some point, surely, you have to think, well, maybe you have to take it into your own hands. At that point, it's all up to him, and he'll wait for when the two ahead are least prepared. Zainab, what's going on? Out of turn 19. He's being overtaken. Does he have wing damage? No. I believe he just sacrificed his run with a mistake in turn 19. The V-Carb staying as is. And Onions getting past Suzuki with DRS into the final turn. So it's the McLaren once again leading us. But I have more than a feeling we'll swap around again with DRS here. Oh, never mind. No batteries available for Suzuki, so he's left it this time around. What about Rory? As Rory and Darrell go side by side into turn 1. Rory was overtaken by Darrell just last lap. And here they go again. Made a bit of contact. The Ferrari had a slide on the exit of turn 2. So it's Darrell that maintains his place. Dan Richards now closing in on them from behind, with Kong on his back as well. Zainab gets our first 3-second penalty of the race. Of course, going off track 3 times, getting 3 warnings, does do that to you. And you'll find that they can quite quickly add up. It'll apply to his race time at the end. So if anybody's within 3 seconds of him, then he'll lose the position to them. In Sector 1, with such high speed, it can be difficult to hold on. But Suzuki, making it look incredibly easy, flies around the outside of Onions through the DRS zone. Now charging battery to use for his defense. And trust me, he's going to need it, because Onions has DRS himself. And with battery saved, he hangs off for turn 1. But Robin makes a move behind. The Haas going side by side with Who Am I through turn 2. Robin goes wide, slides on the curb, and ultimately relegated back to P4. Darrell finds himself still under attack from Rory, and Dan still following them. But further back, there's Zedmar. Downshifting in turn 9. They didn't do it in qualifying, but they'll do it now because of the heavy weight of the fuel. Cars so close together. It's all about who dares to make a move, as Pesh finds himself also victim to the penalty that Zaynep's been given. That's 3 seconds off of his race time. And once again, with DRS, Onions flies around the outside. With more battery to spare than Suzuki again. So you have to think, maybe later in the race we'll see the impact of this battery saving. Zaynep finds himself side by side with Zedmar into the final turn. It's all about who gets DRS, and here it's the McLaren. It's not the V-Carb. As Zaynep comes into the pit lane. But the fighting continues on the track. Nade looked to the inside, but gave it up into turn 1. Going for the safer option. Of course, the line in turn 13 will determine how harsh you are on your tyres. The front right and rear right tyres will be quite damaged if you decide to take turn 13 aggressively. Make the car drag along them in that banked left-hander. But now the gift that keeps on giving, the fight that always continues. Suzuki and Onions. Once again, Onions charging his battery down the straight, while Suzuki flies around. Customary DRS position swap at this point. But can Suzuki hold on to the position he's just gained? Well, Onions would like to say no. And on the inside of turn 1 goes the McLaren. And Suzuki struggles once again to find his footing at the front of the grid. It's Pong and Dan Richards now, fighting for P7. The Alpine pulls himself ahead. Robin and Who Am I once again going at it. The Red Bull defends like the lion that usually drives it. And they're sliding from across the grid as medium tyres start to die. Even after just 6 laps, it's so easy to overheat them. And there we go! Onions, please! Oh, never mind, it was Suzuki! Out of turn 17, the tyres. Just too much warmth. And there he goes into the barrier. Wing damage for him. No end plates visible. Oh, one end plate, in fact. And there goes the man that qualified at the front. Now relegated to P8. His teammate Ken Cheese, to make matters worse, insult to injury, with DRS, passes him on the straight. What can Suzuki do? He'll now need the recovery drive of his life as Robin finds his way through on Who Am I, finally. The Haas driver taking P2. And Suzuki comes into the pits. Will he retire, or will he get a new front wing and continue? He's gone for hard tyres and new front wing, but has not yet retired. So it seems he's continuing on. Now down in P17. One of only 3 drivers to have been in the pit lane so far this race. And it's given Onion a bit of breathing room behind him with a 1.4 second gap to Robin. Who am I? Losing some time that lap to the Haas ahead of him. The Haas that just overtook him, in fact. But with DRS, maintains the place and some distance. The question of getting that position back, though, is an entirely different one. Probably not one he wants to think about right now. As we continue on the mediums, we're on lap 9. And Darrell grows closer to Rory once again. They've fought and fought. The Ferrari's defended well for now. Superman, the next driver in the pit lane, the Mercedes, after 8 laps on the mediums. No wing damage here. Just some dead tyres and the desire for new ones. And so close out of turn 2. It's Ben Arvey and Nade. Nade going off track in turn 5. And sliding around all over the place. Zedmar being given the position there. You can just see how difficult these tyres are being. If you're too aggressive, Nade's cut P11 as turn 11 as well. You can see he's really struggling, whether it's setup or tyres. Something's not quite right. Now Robin has gained himself the 5/10 needed for DRS. That'll do him absolute wonders for defending, but also for attacking. Onions no longer is free to roam. He has to worry about his mirrors. And as we say it, the 2 front runners all come into the pit lane, but who am I? Decides no. These mediums are still good enough. I'm going again. And will give himself a nice, clean, fresh air lap. With no one in his way. While our front 2, followed by Darrell and Eliminator, get some new tyres on. Robin comes out of the pits a very similar distance from Onions as when he went in. It's 6/10 between them, brand new tyres for the both. In P6 and 7. But of course, net race lead. So, who am I's strategy is obviously to try and go longer on the mediums, get some newer hard tyres, and feel that tyre delta towards the end of the race. So he's sacrificing some time now for some time later on. It's at this point that I'd usually say Onions is in trouble, but then he hit the barrier in turn 22, and on the exit, DRS active once again. He has it himself because he's a second close to Ken Cheese, so that will just about help him defend. But Robin only gets closer. They've come up on some traffic. Is Ken Cheese coming into the pit lane? Yes, he is. But not before giving Onions DRS again. And Robin goes for the inside of turn 1, backs out, slides. Too much braking, too quickly. And now turn 2, the gap reinstated. And it's who am I? It's now found himself. He's pitted for hards and he's stuck behind Darrell. 5 seconds behind Robin now. The undercut absolutely huge. In fact, way too much. And you have to wonder if he'll gain that speed back by just having 1 lap tyre advantage. That PC has itself a bit of a lag spike. Kong gets a 3-second penalty. The 3rd one so far. Not for him, but for the grid altogether. And now it's Robin and Onion still. Six tenths apart. With who am I? Just under 5 tenths from Darrell, but There's a gap ahead of him too. And you have to wonder, is it enough? Who am I? Does overtake Daryl into turn 27. And Robin threw on onions into turn 1. For the first time this race, I believe, leads a lap. After the incident from Suzuki. And onions hitting the wall when it mattered most. It's now a Haas that leads us away. And looks very, very confident around this circuit, in fact. But Daryl has re-overtaken Who Am I? Who Am I gets his first corner cutting warning. 2 more of those, and he'll end up with the same penalties as Kong, Zainib, and Pesh. As Ken Cheese flies past with DRS on Superman into P11. Zainib's on the medium tyres. Finds himself in P8. He's on the... Nobody else is on his strategy. Which means his overtakes will come quite nicely. The question is whether or not it's a better strategy in the first place. Who am I? Still so close to Daryl, but not able to find himself the pace he needed. He stayed out to lap on the mediums, but the hards are not good enough. Robin and Onions side by side through turn 1. Onions goes for the switchback in turn 2, as Rory takes our fastest lap with a 1:30.27. This is disaster for the Red Bull of Who Am I? He thought himself able to get some more pace, but instead he's found himself stuck behind Daryl. The traffic losing him time every single turn, and now it's Rory overtaking him, as Who Am I believe made a mistake through the first sector there. There's now a Ferrari in P4. He qualified P3. Now he's coming back for it. Pesh gets his second penalty of the race, so that's 6 seconds for him total. And Who Am I is losing time now. Does he have damage? It doesn't look it. He may have small amounts. But Rory only gains. Was P5, now P4, but never stops looking ahead, and it's P3 in his sights. To him, Daryl is simply in his way. What do we do about people in our way? Says Rory, we pass them. Down the main straight and into the inside of turn 1. Brakes too early, however. Daryl's on the outside. It turns to the inside. It's all about speed carried on the exit. It's a drag race. Rory thought he had it covered with DRS, but no. Through turn 3, they're still side by side. And Daryl takes it away. And what is now 3rd position for the V-Carb once again. And that's what happens if you trust DRS just a little bit too much. More aggressive into braking next time is the lesson for Rory, as Superman gets a 3-second penalty as well. And Robin continues to hold off Onions with no idea how. I can't tell you how he's doing it. Rory in P4. His chance for P3 almost entirely ruined now as he gets past the V-Carb on track, but he's found himself with a penalty. And that'll be his biggest regret this race. In fact, as it stands, that looks like it'll cost him not 1, but 2 positions in race time. Darrell down the main straight. Teaches him how to make an outside move, braking late. And it's his. And Onions should probably learn a bit from Darrell. And push just a little bit more. Because for now, the McLaren is stuck behind the Haas. Zaynab comes into the pit lane. This is for the second time this race, in fact. With 10 laps remaining, he's gone to the mediums. So, the alternate strategy this race. We'll see if he catches up towards the end of the stint. Because if he does, well, that'll be a big worry for those who will be on dead hards. But Rory is on track for P3. Unless he can get rid of the penalty he was given, he'll fall down just a little bit after that. The Ferrari driver finds himself in the same spot once again as he was last lap. Battery conservation on Darrell's side isn't looking too great. Onions on the inside of turn 1. Finally, the fight resumes. It's been all points to Robin this far, but no. Onions has had enough and is fighting back. And for the first time in 5 or so laps, Robin will have to contend with dirty air. You can see, making it much harder for him to stay close. It's now 7/10 is the difference. And Dan Richards has DNF'd through turn 4. We warned them about it at the start of the race. I knew it would happen at some point. The virtual safety car, as we followed Ken Cheese, we saw the lifeless remains of that Sauber. There he goes. So easy to hit that inside wall and do what Dan Richards did. Well, there we are. And if you needed an excuse to pit stop, well, here it is. As long as the virtual safety car lasts long enough. These cars will be doing everything they can to obey the Delta they're forced to, else you'll be given a 10-second penalty. Actually, no, a drive-through. Apologies. Even worse, that's around 30 seconds to serve a drive-through. VSC not quite ending yet, and Onions pretends he's going to go into the pits, as does Robin, but ultimately they stay out for fear of the VSC ending now. They were right, it's ending now, and Robin breaks too late, goes very deep into turn 1, gets away with it on the Delta, is now very, very close to Onions. My biggest fear there was that the lockup would mean he didn't slow down enough and would get a penalty, but he's got away with it. The game has decided to be on his side today. As Ben on the inside of Zedmar into turn 27. Ferrari on McLaren. But Zedmar now has the DRS. He's hanging on to the outside of turn 1. And Ben forced to follow behind. If you make the move, you have to make it either clearly before or clearly after the DRS zone, else you risk doing exactly what just happened and losing it again to the DRS activation point. With 8 laps to go, the front two still completely undecided. As Ben in P12 gets his own 3-second penalty. Robin has battery saved. There's 2/10 between them, and it's the final corner now. You can see the battery flashing, being absolutely burned down this straight with DRS active. This is his time to fight back. His next move in this battle, round the outside of turn 1. Tries to stick his nose upside of turn 2, but was not alongside enough. And Onions, an absolute defense masterclass. One move made, One move counted for the Papaya driver. Absolutely beautiful fighting up at the front as Humero gains a position as a result of Eliminator pitting. Humero and Superman have made great strides in this race. Hang on. Yeah, 8 positions up is Humero. Superman up 4. Robin notably also up 4. A great performance from Mercedes so far. Zainip gets a 3-second penalty. P12 just pushing it a little too hard. And everybody but Zainip, Suzuki, and Pesh on a one-stop strategy. But the real fight continues. The final turn once again. All about the exit. Robin tags the barrier on the entry and the apex of turn 27. It probably means he'll have to abandon this move. Indeed. Everything has to be perfect going into the move, else he'll simply be countered by Onions' great battery management. In fact, they're very similarly very good at that skill in this game. Holding onto the battery to deploy it when it's needed. And Suzuki, the man who started out in front, fell down to 17th. Is now 13th. Still fighting his way through, never giving up. Every single point can influence a championship. And he'll be damned if he lets this race go to waste. He continues to persevere. As Red Bull's sister team on Red Bull itself looks to mount a challenge, Daryl fancies a go at the big brother of the two teams with DRS. Who am I is charging? There's no battery left for Daryl, but never mind, does not hang it to the inside of turn 27. Decides to play it a bit safer. Because now's the moment. DRS, who am I is charging. There's no battery left for either of them. And through goes Daryl into P4. But goes very, very deep and cuts turn 2. A 3-second penalty for him. Will find himself losing that position once again as he cuts the turn 2 altogether, overcooking it into braking. In the process of making a move stick. So, who am I? Despite his recent loss of pace in this race, is very much still in it for P3 if he can just gain on Rory. And it's now or never in these next 5 laps for Robin. This is his chance to make a charge. Brakes early to avoid giving Onions the DRS. And it's now. If he makes the move now, he'll have DRS to himself, I believe. No, he doesn't. Onions was given it. It's always close. But with DRS, Onions is going to fight for it back. Robbins is burning. Sat on the inside. And Robin has a much better line through turn 1. And hangs on to P1 now. It's 4 laps to go. And these front two cannot stop switching positions. Zainibs, though, finding himself on the outside of turn 26 of 2 cars, Zedmar and Kenshi's, both dispatched in the same corner. Absolutely beautiful from him. but with no DRS. Again, we run into the same predicament. Defense, all of a sudden, becomes a problem. Turn 1, holding onto the inside line. And actually, he's not given too many problems, as Zaynep is on the medium tyres and has that pace advantage. So he is indeed making his way up the field, but with 4 laps to go, he has to gap by quite a few seconds if he wants to make his penalty invalid. Else he'll be at risk of losing the points positions he's fought for because of the track limits infringements he's accrued. And every lap, this is always the fight zone. Robin pretends to go into the pit lane. The mind games continue, but Onions isn't quite falling for it. But he's not using his battery yet either. Onions may just be biding his time to use it on the penultimate lap. Zedmar threw on Ken Cheese in turn 21, a very unusual place to be able to make the move in the first place. And Daryl being attacked by Who Am I, who stuck his nose on the inside of turn 4. Daryl, as a result, gets another 3-second penalty. That's 6 seconds total for him. It's Ken and Zedmar again side by side. And Suzuki, he's found his way through. Now P12, we go 3 wide, becomes 2 wide, becomes 1 wide. And Suzuki flies past both just on the straight and is now in a points position from what looked like unrecoverable. He is so back. Zedmar having a bit of trouble with turn 5. The Haas goes past. Eliminator now T12. And Robin has managed to find some headway on Onions. There's 8 tenths between them now. We have a yellow sector 2, sector 1. No idea what's going on here. We have green again. As Zaynep defends the inside of turn 13 down to 12th. He's gone though. So there's an incident probably with him. It was looking so promising for the alternative strategy. But with 2 laps to go and 6 seconds of penalties, the points position might just be asking too much. Robin and Onions closing back in. It was a second just this lap. But you can never keep Onions away for that long. Who Am I, of course, has already made his move on Daryl now. It's up to him. He's got 1.8 seconds as the Red Bull. If he can gain that time in 2 laps, then 3rd place is his. He'll get to stand on that podium instead of Rory. It's a tall order from the Red Bull man. Eliminator and Ken Cheese continue side by side through turn 1. The Haas making quite a divisive move. Licked the stamp and sent it. Very well done from him. Suzuki now P9. Net P8 after Superman's penalty. Very admirable recovery drive from him. Zedmar, what has happened? The McLaren has dropped several positions. He's finding himself sliding, trying to recover. And down to P16 he goes. It's now the penultimate lap. Nade gets a 3-second penalty from P17. And this is the final chance that anybody's going to get to overtake in this race. Daryl, once again, trying to make his move on Who Am I, despite his penalty. The fight on track has been legendary. You can see how tentative they're being on throttle now with no grip left in these hard tyres. They're 13, 14 laps old at this point, and they must have almost nothing left. And it's now preparing for the final DRS zone of the circuit. That is before the final lap, where you may not get a chance to overtake. The defense is up to Robin with 90% left on the battery. Onions with only 44. But with that DRS, the rear wings open. An extra 16 kilometers an hour down the straight. And Onions is safe for now, but there's a McLaren stopped. What's happened to Zedmar? He's found himself once again crashed in sector 1. As Onions and Robin down the main straight. Onions, no move made. We're now on the final lap. Now there's one DRS zone before the final corner. That is Onions' only hope. Both drivers fighting with whatever rubber is left on their wheels. And the answer is, well, the amount is not very much. At any moment, they could simply spin. We saw it happen to Suzuki after only 6 or 7 laps on the mediums. And we're on double that on hards. It's all about care now. A full battery for Robin and a nearly full battery for Onions. Onions gained a lot in the braking for turn 17. A better exit. Less than 2/10 between them. The DRS button is open, and it's turn 20. Round the outside, is he going for it? He tried. He looked at the inside. Decided against it. But that will compromise his line out of turn 23. And this is what Robin was waiting for. The battery amount falling. Falling. But Onions is having a go. Robin covered the inside, but Onions still wanted to go further in. And now it's a drag race down to the final start-finish straight. Less than a 10th separates them, but it's Anthrax Robin across the line that takes it away from Onions. Robin, having gained 5 positions over the course of this race, takes the victory. With no less than almost 1.3 tenths between him and the driver behind. He defended the final turn, but Onions went even deeper on the inside. And that's a hit P2 for the McLaren, P3 for Rory, 4th for Who Am I, 5th for Darrell, 6th for Kong. What about Humero, the rookie who started way further down, has made his race a spectacular one and ended 7th. A great points position for him. Suzuki, after a crash from 1st, has recovered to 8th. Eliminator loses his positions to penalties, and Kent Cheese takes P9. Eliminator P10 with our final points place. Superman 11th. Pesh, never mind, Obese Mode 12th. Pesh 13th. Ben Harvey 14th. Nade 15th. Zaynip 16th. And Zedmar coming across the line now. Struggled with tyres towards the end. But well done to him for finishing the race. In 17th. And that is Saudi Arabia, folks. And that's Robin. Aware of what he's done today. A beautiful job from where he qualified to come all the way back. So your drivers of the day. Of course, race winner, Robin. Fastest lap went to Rory. Driver of the day went to Eliminator, though I'd consider giving it to Robin. Obese Mode got most overtakes, and Ken Cheese got cleanest driver. Personally, I'd either give fastest driver to Robin from P6 to 1st, or Humero from 15th to 7th. Great job from him, but our finishing order: Robin, Onions, Rory, Who Am I, Darrell, Kong, Humero, Suzuki, Ken Cheese, Eliminator, Superman, Obese, Pesh, Ben, Nade, Zynips, Zedmar, and the final 2, Dan Richards, or just Dan Richards. The only retirement from this race. Fastest lap went to Rory. But wow, that was a fun one. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time when hopefully my voice has recovered just a little bit. We'll see you then.